Good Tuesday morning. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. This is Opening Bid, and I'm coming in pretty darn hot today after seeing Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang own, dominate, and crush the CES stage last night in an iconic black leather alligator jacket. I think it was alligator. Jensen always rocks a black leather jacket at his keynotes, but this one had some extra flair and some extra shine, as you can see, leaving the Jensen fanatics on X to speculate Jensen was signaling a huge year ahead and a doubling of his stock price. I respect this group's passion over a jacket, love it actually. I would gladly wear that jacket on the show every single day if I had it, but the reality is what Jensen said on stage in three key areas is way more important than that fabulous leather jacket you're seeing on the screen. Here's where I think you need to be focused right now after Nvidia's CES speech. One, physical AI is beginning to come out of the testing lab and into real-world settings like autonomous vehicles and robots.
Wherever the universe has information, wherever the universe has structure, we could teach a large language model, a form of language model, to go understand that information, to understand its representation, and to turn that into an AI. One of the biggest, most important one is physical AI. AIs that understand the laws of nature.
Hell yeah, Jensen, get after my man. Then it's clear we remain in the early innings of a fast-moving technology.
Well, every 10 to 15 years, the computer industry resets. This time, there are two simultaneous platform shifts, in fact, happening at the same time. While we now move to AI, applications are now going to be built on top of AI. At first, people thought AIs are applications, and in fact, AIs are applications, but you're going to build applications on top of AIs. But in addition to that, how you run the software, how you develop the software, fundamentally changed. The entire five-layer stack of the computer industry is being reinvented.
Okay, I really need that jacket. Lastly, demand for AI chips and tools continues to be strong, a pushback, again, against worries on expectations of it not living up to reality.
The amount of computation necessary for AI is skyrocketing. The demand for NVIDIA GPUs is skyrocketing. It's skyrocketing because models are increasing by a factor of 10, an order of a magnitude every single year.
You put all this together, friends, and you understand why the market ripped into the close on Monday. You understand why all this AI bubble talk borders on as lame as a suede black jacket. You understand why earnings estimates for the S&P 500 are probably being understated by 10, 20%. Yeah, I'm just going to say it. What I don't understand, though, is how Nvidia's stock trades at a multiple in line to the S&P 500 almost makes no sense to me. Perhaps the opening bid roundtable can make sense of this for all you all out there in the Yahoo Finance community, because I don't get it. Here on that roundtable, Wedbush Securities Managing Director Dan Ives, D.A. Davidson, Head of Technology Research, Luria, along with Yahoo Finance's Senior Business Reporter, Ines Ferre. Dan, actually good to see all of you. Dan, coming out to you here, first and foremost, you were at CES. What did you think of Jensen's speech?
Yeah, the godfather of AI spoke, right? I mean, I think it just shows physical AI is here. This is the next stage in terms of coming to the consumer. Look, and I think if you walk out of there thinking that this is an AI bubble, then you had I think you had a little too much something to drink, or in Vegas. Because look, the reality is that this just we're talking about trillions of dollars being spent. And I think that's the one thing. This is kind of the blueprint on the physical AI front that Jensen laid out.
Gail, over to you. What do you think?
I think that what NVIDIA has done successfully is create an enormous data center market, much bigger than we thought. And right now, it's trading just on this data center market. And in fact, it's trading really as if that cycle is about to to roll over. That's, to your point, why NVIDIA is so inexpensive, is that really all it's pricing in is a data center market that's getting close to a peak. Where what we saw yesterday is that Jensen Huang's already thinking about what's next. And what's next is putting this GPU content at the edge on devices that will have the ability to do AI in a physical context, whether it's more automobiles or robots or other manifestations of AI at the edge. The question is, what's going to be the timing on that? is that going to come soon enough to extend the data center cycle and get investors excited about Nvidia again?
Ines, I want to sit here for the next half hour and talk about robots. I think they're cute, they're not cuddly, they're machines. I get it, I see the use cases for it. I'm glad that robots are getting into factories. Some big news out yesterday from Boston Dynamics. But I think the most important thing, Ines, is that the Vera Rubin chips look like they are ahead of schedule, and they're going to get right in the hands of customers, I would think, quicker than many on the people on the street thought. Just not Dan and Gil.
That's right. And that's what Wall Street wanted to see, that main point that they are on track with Rubin, and that it is going to be for the second half of 2026. And this is what we've heard from strategists. The main point, they're on track. But yes, beyond that, robots, beyond that, autonomous driving. And I will point, Sozzi, that the fact that, he's got a great jacket on and everything. But
look at that jacket. Love it.
It's amazing, and probably you can Google to see who makes it, and it's probably sold out. But in any case, Jensen Huang has an ability to be able to distill very complex topics. I mean, you have to be a mega engineer to know all of this stuff, but he has an ability to distill these in very simple terms, or in as simple terms as possible, and really to get the average person pumped up about this. I mean, if you have half of a pulse, you'd be psyched to see this kind of future ahead.
The only person at CES dressed better than Jensen, that was our man, Dan Ives. Always bringing it there, Dan. Look, I want to get back onto Nvidia real quick, but I want to mention AMD and Lisa Su. Speech of her own yesterday, Dan. Have you ever heard of a Yada flop? She mentioned it. I never heard of it. Is it a big deal for the chip industry?
Look, and first, I just want to say, Gil mentioned a great point about what's being baked into NVIDIA here. I think that's really important. Like, just the tip of the sphere. I think that's important what's happened in terms of valuations across the board. Look, the reality is, like, Lisa Su and AMD. Look, if Lisa Su's flying the plane, I'm in 3A, feeling really good watching Netflix. Because the reality is that they are going to be a core player in this next stage of the AI revolution. I don't think that's being factored into AMD stock. That's why, we think, 350 is not out of the question in terms of where this thing could go. But I think this is going to be a big conversation on the floor today at CES in terms of what we heard from Lisa.
Dan, loved your note this morning. You think that Nvidia can exceed a $5 trillion market cap in the near term and ultimately a $6 trillion market cap. I don't think I've seen that $6 trillion number from you before. What has to happen for them to get there, and what is the timeline?
I think it's about, if you look at the valuation today, you're not factoring in autonomous. You're not factoring robotics. I think street numbers could go up another 15, 20% conservatively. And it speaks to our point. The reason this is a tech bull market that we continue to think 10:30 p.m. in the party that goes to 4 a.m., street's not factoring in the ultimate demand that's happening globally. And for the first time in 30 years, U.S. is ahead of China when it comes to tech. And there's one chip in the world fueling the AI revolution. That guy's wearing a black leather jacket, sometimes alligator leather. His name's Jensen.
Gil, I want to give you a shout out because yesterday you came out with some awesome research. But one name in particular caught my attention, and that was on CoreWeave. You were bearish on CoreWeave for a while. Right call by and large. That stock has been under severe pressure, a lot of concerns on that business model, but you issued what you called a reluctant upgrade. My question to you is, anything that you heard from Jensen or Lisa Su or even Intel yesterday, does that make you feel more comfortable in CoreWeave in that call you just made?
We would continue to stay away from marginal players like CoreWeave, like Oracle. I don't like seeing them, Dan, in your ETF. The Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, those are going to be the companies that create value in AI. Marginal players are just borrowing money to build speculative capacity, and they're doing it while destroying value. We continue to stay away from them. The only reason we upgraded is everybody was so negative on CoreWeave, and we think there's a chance that OpenAI can do what it's targeting this quarter, which is raise $100 billion of equity at a $750 billion pre-money valuation by the end of March. If that happens, Dan's party goes into overdrive. If OpenAI can get there, then everybody's going to double down on AI. We think that may not happen, that OpenAI may be a little too ambitious in this raise, but that's what we're looking for. In terms of what we heard from Nvidia, we heard that Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, Meta, Elon, they're going to have fantastic new chips towards the end of the year, and that Nvidia is keeping its lead over everybody else. That's why Rubin's important, is that it makes sure that they're going to continue to be better than AMD, than anything Broadcom can make. And that's what we heard yesterday.
Dan, do circular financing concerns keep you up at night?
Well, first off, I mean, I've asked Gil, I need his suit size number because I got the pink and the purple sports jacket ready with some camo. And so, yeah, for the party. Again, everything he's talking about. Again, circular financing is not keeping me up at night. This is as we talk about, it's third inning, one out in the AI revolution. You talk about demand and supply NVIDIA chips 12-1. This is building out, and OpenAI and NVIDIA are core parts of it, what's essentially a new economy. But this is not a vendor financing sort of red flag that concerns me, and I think that will be proven out this year as it plays out. But it comes down to, if someone said, invest $1 or take out debt for $1 and you're going to get 12 to 15 in the next 2-3 years, would you take it? And that's what I think Oracle's doing, and that's what I think OpenAI, and that's what Nvidia and AMD.
And as to the point of Dan and Gil, you're watching the CES coverage from 130-inch Samsung TVs on stands to various robots that want to come to your house and do your laundry. It's hard. You'll, of course, have to stay skeptical of what's going on in technology, but you're actually now seeing physical use cases for so many different things in the world of AI. It's hard to really, really, really be concerned about circular financing.
Yeah, because you're seeing that these technologies are going to be doing things that we can't even imagine yet. I mean, you saw Jensen Huang on stage with that little robot there, and then the way they were also training that robot, and I thought to myself, this is insane. I mean, I can imagine this. My daughter running around now with robots around her, and then he talks about autonomous driving, and in 10 years, a large portion of cars will be autonomous. That is going to change completely, and I'm thinking she may not even need a license in 10 years because she'll just get in an autonomous car. I mean, this is going to change the way we live in this world, and it's fascinating to see.
The time of ET is here. All right, this panel is sticking with me. We're just getting started here. Straight ahead, we'll stay on the impact of the AI revolution. In my stock of the day, I found one tech stock that seems absolutely bizarrely cheap given everything going on in the tech industry. That's next. Lost in all the glitz and glamour of CES, everything from Nvidia's new Vera Rubin chips to robots yearning to do your house chores is how all this stuff is impacting the broader tech supply chain. I want to put the spotlight in my stock of the day back on Micron. The stock ripped higher in mid-December after blowout guidance. The company said it expects the total addressable market, or TAM, for high bandwidth memory to hit $100 billion by 2028, growing at a compounded annual growth rate of 40%. Here's the main driver. Demand for high bandwidth memory used in AI servers has simply exploded, leaving little capacity for other products like smartphone and flash storage. That is allowing Micron to charge higher prices for its products while earning fatter profits. Despite these clear catalysts to the stock, I find it absolutely wacky. Micron stock only trades at 9.9 times estimated forward earnings, according to Yahoo Finance data. For perspective, the S&P 500 trades at 22 times, and Nvidia, which we've been talking about all morning long, trades at 25 times. The OB Roundtable is here to weigh in. Gil, coming over to you here on Micron. Is this one of the overlooked names in the tech industry?
Well, right now we are very early in the memory cycle. So even if we are possibly in the middle or late innings of the overall data center build out, the progress that we've made in AI models has made it so memory is the next frontier. We need a lot more memory in the chips, in the installations, in the servers, in the data centers, and we've hit the bottleneck for all these memory providers. They are now unable to catch up to demand. And so that cycle is still in early stages. So companies like Micron, SK Hynix, and the part of Samsung that does memory are now becoming increasingly important for us to be able to deliver the multimodal AI models that all these frontier models are now deploying. And it caught a lot of investors off guard. But to your point, we may be still early stages of that cycle.
Dan, who is the Nvidia of the memory market? Is it Micron, or is there another player we need to be looking at?
I mean, like we see it when we go to Korea all the time. It's a memory super cycle that's really going on. I think SK Hynix, front and center. You look at Micron, it's one of the Ives AI30. You look at SanDisk. I mean, to me, in terms of memory super cycle, I think SK Hynix, to me, continues to sort of be at the epicenter. But I believe all these stocks are going to go much higher, just given where we are. And, this is something that's still, I think, underappreciated in terms of what's going to be really a multi-year memory super cycle. Micron, at this price, I mean, this is like getting Mickey Mantle signed card at a garage sale.
Dan, where do you get these things from? Do you write these down, or it's just real-time creativity? Ines, beat that one. Come on.
Saz, you bring it out in me.
I appreciate that. I know I do. And Ines, I mean, Micron. Who would have thought a year ago we'd be spending a whole segment talking about Micron?
Yeah, look, and Dan Ives mentioned SanDisk. It was a top performer last year on the S&P 500. Micron has 43 buys, a price target of 311, and you had Bernstein that just upped their price target on 330. What these analysts are talking about, the memory bottleneck is real, and that's why you're seeing the stock performing so well. And if you pull up a chart, a one-year chart of Micron shows it's up 244%. That's a one-year chart. So Micron has definitely, last year, certainly caught up with the AI trade, outperforming most of these chip stocks.
Gil, last word to you on Micron. There still seems to be this somewhat of a dark cloud hanging over Micron and some of the other players. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but to me, when analyzing them, there still is this fear that a Micron builds too much capacity and there's not enough demand that will meet that capacity.
Well, I think the fear around companies like this is that they still make a commodity. Even if this commodity is very much in demand right now, it is completely interchangeable. Nvidia can decide to order more from SK Hynix one year and more from Micron the next year, and it's completely interchangeable as far as they're concerned, which longer term means there's less pricing power and there's less sustainability for that model. Having said that, from a trading perspective, from a shorter term investment perspective, that doesn't matter when you're in a bottleneck.
All right, watching leaders at Nvidia, AMD, and Intel wax poetic about their new chips at CES reminded me of something important, and it's this. Damn, are these wildly different companies despite all hawking AI chips of some capacity. Nvidia and CEO Jensen Huang are leading the pack on the AI chip front. AMD CEO Lisa Su is putting up a great fight against Nvidia. And Intel, well, it's trying to do something in AI chips to try to turn itself around. All of this brings me to today's question of the day. What's the best way to profit off the AI revolution? Do you stay long a leader like Nvidia? Do you wager, and can you take that an AMD could take market share away from Nvidia? Or do you toss a Hail Mary pass and go all in on an Intel turnaround? Dan Ives, I'm thinking you're not a big believer in Intel.
Well, look, I mean, you got to think where Intel is today relative to obviously Trump backing and Nvidia is a whole different story than a year ago. So I do think, look, to me, to play the trade for semis, it's Godfather of AI, Nvidia. You got to own everything Lisa Su's doing, AMD, Micron, Broadcom and others. Look, Intel, I think that has to be a piece of the portfolio, just given that they're going to play more and more of a role in the AI revolution. You cannot just count them out. They're no longer, like if we were at a wedding, they're no longer at that table by the sort of kitchen with the random people that you're at. They're getting closer to the cooler table.
I'm at the cooler table now, Dan. Gil,
you're always at the cooler table.
Nah, it's taking me a while, Dan. It's taking me a while.
Part of it,
Yeah, no, I used to be that guy by hanging out by the fridge. Gil, look, out of these three stocks, is it Nvidia or bust, or can you make a case for Nvidia and Intel?
For the AI trade, we would stick with what's going to work in a wide range of scenarios, which is Microsoft and Nvidia. Whether we're late in the cycle or early in the cycle, those two have created most of the value so far, and they'll continue to create most of the value so far. So we focus on those. We probably stay away from marginal players. in the data center space, in the semi space. We actually think there's still opportunities in software. You can't do AI in an enterprise context without having all the data in one place. That's why you need Snowflake. You can't do AI in an enterprise context without observing the applications that are running that are more complicated than ever. You need Datadog for that. So we wouldn't forget about the fact that a lot of the good investments in AI are still in software, Microsoft, Snowflake, and Datadog. But again, one way or another, we're using Nvidia chips to do all this.
Quick note to the Yahoo Finance community watching this, you're welcome for all these amazing stock ideas over the past 25 minutes. Ines, last word to you here. Out of these three stocks, we're not going to ask you to pick a stock because that's not what we do here. But which do you think has the more compelling story?
I will give you one bullish note about Intel, all the points that Dan Ives mentioned, but also their advanced packaging technology. This is what Jensen Huang had mentioned when they made that investment in Intel, that $5 billion investment. This is very interesting space. I've been geeking out a little bit on this. I'm nowhere an engineer, but I will tell you that this is, there's these, they're chiplets that they basically stitch together and they stack them together. And this is an interesting area that Intel has that technology. So that's one bullish point for Intel.
My Person of the Day award goes to you, Ines Ferre, because we're dropping the mic on talking about advanced packaging and chips. Thank you to my roundtable. Y'all crushed it. Appreciate it. Coming up, Julie Hyman will stay on the Nvidia story following CEO Jensen Huang's much anticipated CES speech. We'll be right back.